Hello, Meg Durham here, wellbeing coach and educator. And I am so excited because things are heating up here at Open Mind Education as we rebrand and get ready to launch our Energy by Design program for educators. It is going to be such a game changer and I cannot wait to share more with you. But today I would like to share with you the 5 Ps. The 5 Ps that can keep us stuck, overwhelmed, wired, tired, and bubbling with a bit of resentment and bitterness. So let's jump in to these 5 Ps. Now, how have I come up with these 5 Ps? I have observed them in myself over the years, and I've observed them in the schools that I work with, the clients that I work with, and in the groups. They're patterns of behavior that all of us as humans we participate in. And I often laugh that maybe we come into the world with this P playbook, this playbook that says, if you do all of these Ps well enough, you'll be happy. But it turns out if we do all of these Ps all of the time, we'll be exhausted and not very satisfied. So let's do it. Can you think of a P that holds you back? Number 1, pleasing. Are you in a habit of pleasing others? Constantly putting the needs of others ahead of yourself and your needs. So this may look like when someone asks you to do something, you say, yes, I'll do that. But really, you don't want to do it. Or things are getting uncomfortable and you don't say anything because you don't want to upset anybody else. You don't want to disappoint anybody else, but really, you're not really happy about it. You're quite disappointed. So that notion of, I don't want to rock the boat. So the challenge with constantly pleasing is a disconnect to self and a disconnection to your own needs. So really thinking about in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, how often are you thinking about what you need versus how often you think about what other people need? You know, a lot of the teachers that I work with, they can tell me exactly what all of their students need, what all of their colleagues need. And when I ask them, so what do you need? They look at me and, oh, I haven't thought about that because I'm constantly doing things for others. So in that pleasing mindset. The second one is perfecting. In this habit of always striving for perfection. And perfection is an illusion. It's a complete mirage. It's never finished because you always want to tweak, always want to do something more. And so thinking about, is perfection holding you back? So you might want to start something, but you think, oh, it's not good enough. It's not perfect enough. Or you may be creating more work for yourself because you want the format to be perfect. You want it to be aligned with this. You want everything to line up. You want all your ducks in a row. But the reality is your ducks will never be in a row. And if they are, it's momentary because life is messy and working with humans is messy. So the challenge with that is we become disconnected to reality, because we have an expectation here and we have a reality here, and there's a real mismatch. So really thinking about, is perfection or that strive to always tweak getting you stuck, making you feel stuck and overwhelmed and a little bit cranky? The third one is performing. Are you constantly performing, going through the day, performing in the classroom, performing at home, constantly performing? It's like your life has become a big performance, that you're a character in a play with an audience looking at you. And so if you're in this habit, you're actually missing the opportunity to be in your life, to experience your life, because you're constantly thinking about, how are other people perceiving my performance? Am I doing okay? Is it okay? So take a moment to really think about, how often are you performing? And how often are you just being yourself with your strengths and struggle? The fourth one, pretending. Pretending is a real go-to for so many people. And that is, no problem here. All good, all good. No need to worry. But underneath, lots of problems, lots of unresolved things, lots of angst, all of this stuff happening. And that's fine. There are times when we need to just play on. And there are some other times where we need to let our colleagues, our friends, our families know that we're struggling. There's some things that are really hard, and that's how our connection builds. It's hard to build connection with someone that, yep, all perfect, no struggle here, We build connection through getting to know each other, through the strength and struggle. So if we're constantly pretending, it's really hard for other people to get to know us. And finally, producing. When we measure our self-worth based on what we produce, that we're only of value when we're producing something, when we're being productive, when we're ticking something off our list. And it's great to be productive. It's great to have that sense of achievement. It is a pillar of well-being. However, if we're constantly measuring our self-worth and our success based on how we perform, the challenge is we find it hard to disconnect. We find it hard to rest. We find it hard to just watch telly for enjoyment, for pleasure, or just catch up with friends, just to relax and be in the company, because we're so used to being on that it's hard to just switch off and relax. So these are the 5 P's that can keep us stuck: pleasing, perfecting, performing, pretending, and producing. So how can we overcome these 5 P's? I have 3 ideas for you to think about. Number 1 is just start to notice. Just start to notice in your interactions, where does your mind go? Towards pleasing, perfecting, performing, pretending, producing. And then number 2 is start to label that. Just start to label in your head, oh, there I am performing. Oh, now I'm pleasing. Oh, and now I'm in production mode. Oh, and now I'm pretending. So you may catch yourself in one conversation doing all 5. And there's no judgment, compassion for yourself. This is a pattern that you've probably ingrained for your whole life. So you smile at yourself and have a bit of a laugh, like, oh, isn't that interesting? Every time I'm in that interaction, I'm constantly pleasing. I'm completely disconnected from self. And then the third thing is get curious. Get curious and ask yourself, why am I doing this? What is the function of this behavior? How is it serving me? What am I getting out of this? So for example, in pleasing, you may be pleasing yourself into a lather of sweat, but what you may be getting out of it is feeling like you're good, like you get that tap on the shoulder, that you're pleasing other people. And then the flip side is, what is the cost? What is the cost to your health, your happiness, your relationships, to constantly be in these patterns of behavior? So they're my 3 tips for you: to start to notice, to label, and then get a little bit curious and start to observe yourself and start to ask a few questions about, is it serving you? And is it time to move to a different way of feeling, functioning, and behaving? I hope this video has inspired you to think differently, to feel differently, behave differently, and planted some seeds for growth, because we're all human, we're all in this together. And I strongly believe that it's the small changes that have the biggest impacts in our life. And the more we can be well, the more we can show up and be present and in meaningful relationships with the people that we care about. And how incredible would the world be if people had the energy and the capacity to enjoy life, as messy as it is? I love sharing these thoughts with you, and I look forward to sharing with you again next time. Bye for now.